fun. What's up, brewskis? My name is Marco Dupa, and with me, as always, it's the great and powerful. It's Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
What's up, brewskis?
What's on tap for tonight? Wait, tonight's brew.
It's been a while.
Tonight's brew is from. Tonight's brew is the Kirkland signature Hella Style Lager.
Boom!
And that's how we're gonna rate it tonight.
Yeah.
And Obi's gonna have a little bit more about that after the break. What's on tap for tonight? I think I'm so flustered because we've got some controversial topics.
As we tend to.
First and foremost, we're gonna get the worst stuff out of the way.
Please.
Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with his work, you may be also familiar with his other body of work, which apparently has been going on for decades.
Quite a while, yeah. Former Florida local, too.
Real Bill Cosby situation we got going on here. So, as former fans of the man, I think we do have to kind of talk about it a little bit, address it in full, and then kind of,
dissect, figure out where we go from here.
Yeah. Then what else we got?
We also have a little bit of trailer trash featuring Daredevil, Born Again, the TV maybe requel, we'll see, of the Netflix series. Seems to have kept a lot of the cast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
we'll get into it.
Okay.
Sorry.
We'll leave her there.
Yeah.
For now.
And then last but not least, at the time of this recording, there is still such a thing as TikTok in this country. But by the time you hear this episode, that may or may not be a thing. So we're going to speculate as to the future of TikTok.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay.
So before we do any of that, we got to get through these brewskis. So let's crack it wide open. This is episode 448 of the One Beer In podcast. Wow.
Lost to be found by someone to save you when you're down. Yes, I'm bored when it's bright out. So bored when it's bright out. 4 to 5 a.m. takes me to a place where
And without further ado, this is Adam. This is Adam with a One Beer In review. Tell the people what we're drinking tonight.
I will.
Do it right now.
The Kirkland signature Hella Style Lager from Deschutes Brewery. 4.5% ABV, and there is a cold read on the can. Savor the triumph of a 2023 Great American Beer Festival, registered, gold medalist. A beer that stands out among the finest in America. Munich-style Helles, entered as Prinz Crispy Deschutes Brewery and Public House, Bend, Oregon. So this is technically a Deschutes beer.
So this is always a fun thing to think about, like grocery store brands like this, like Aldi, like Whole Foods. Doing, contacting some kind of like contract brewery, and having like a signature line. Do you think the quality's higher, lower, about the same? Who knows, kind of deal?
I would, when I see that, it makes me a little sad. It makes me a little hesitant because I'm like, why are you faking the funk for, Kirkland? Like, just let them sell their beer as Deschutes.
Right.
But at the same time, they're getting business clearly, and as we've talked about on this podcast, a lot of craft breweries are going out of business. So good for Deschutes. I am happy that they're able to prominently feature themselves on the can, because a lot of times that's not the case.
Yeah.
Like, especially in like theme parks and stuff where it's just like, oh, this is the Jurassic beer.
Yeah.
It's like, what is it really,
Yeah, and I do. If I were these guys, and I don't know what they've called this actual Helles Lager at their brew house, or even if they keep it on at their brew house, but if it was up to me, if I was naming things around there, I would call it the Kirkland signature. Vodka,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
when you come in, you're like, why is it called the Kirkland signature?
Well-
Well, my boy, I'll tell you.
It says it was entered as Prinz Crispy.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah. Prinz
Prinz
Crispy.
entered as Prinz Crispy Deschutes. Yeah, Prinz Crispy. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Okay, fine, whatever.
Well, good enough for Kirkland. So, you know,
And if it's good enough for Kirkland, then it's good enough for us.
clinker up.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the One Baron podcast. You know where you are if you're locked in with us. So get comfortable. It's going to get uncomfortable.
Very quickly.
All right.
Oh, boy.
Stop beating around the bush.
Oh, boy.
I've said
Oh, boy.
I've vamped as much as I can.
Yeah. Yeah, we're here now.
Let's just talk about it.
Yeah. Neil Gaiman, the very famous writer, creative behind, massive fantasy graphic novels like Sandman and as well as regular novels and children's novels and a lot of things that have been transferred to film. You may know, such as American Gods. I think they were in production for Nancy Boys, which is like a pseudo spin-off sequel to American Gods. And plenty of others. Coraline was the other big one. He turns out to allegedly be a very bad person.
Very bad.
So there was an article from Vulture that came out recently that was sort of the second atomic bomb, if we're going to use that analogy.
Yeah.
The first one was this podcast that there were these allegations from multiple women saying that we can't really say and maybe don't want to say exactly what happened, but impropriety and criminal allegations were alleged
On the podcast.
on the podcast. Things went
Yeah.
quiet for a while after that, though.
Well, because that podcast, if I remember correctly, was behind a paywall. So that was like people's main criticism of this whole ordeal when it first popped off, which was you're going to accuse someone like Neil Gaiman, who has been, and I'll circle back to this later, but a person who was a champion of women's rights, a very outspoken activist, if
Yeah.
you will,
Sure.
to turn around and accuse him of all of this stuff and then have the podcast be behind a paywall seemed to a lot of people to be disingenuous at best.
Yeah, yeah. And that led to people saying, well, you know, these people have an axe to grind. They're just trying to make money. It's a, you know, a pseudo-political kind of hit piece. And, it kind of went away for a little bit, but so did Neil Gaiman. And all the productions of these, you know, ongoing series that he's been a part of halted and have been on pause ever since.
Yeah.
Then, as of this week, there was really a huge Vulture article that went into every bloody detail, including multiple women, including actually a rendezvous in Orlando, of all places.
You mean we could have caught him?
Yeah, we could have. And we would have, too. But, yeah, I mean, it really goes
Rendezvous in
through.
Orlando. What were they doing out here?
Well, that's the thing. Neil Gaiman lived in Central Florida for a while. So, you know, that's why I mentioned, like,
Yeah.
former local
Oh.
Neil Gaiman. Why? I'm not sure, but I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Why? Why would you choose to live here?
Oh,
Live anywhere.
But yeah, so long story short, this article really details one woman in particular, her plight through essentially what would amount to grooming, SA, pressure, power dynamics, and really the taking advantage of someone that was in need at the time, emotionally and financially and all these things. And also linking him to a lot of other cases where, you know, people have come out and said, like, yeah, he made me very uncomfortable, or he did something really inappropriate, or, that there was clearly this line of impropriety, and it all came to a head with the podcast coming out, and then that emboldened other people who had these sort of situations with him over time, which, like you said, it's been decades apparently that he's been not a great guy, to put it lightly. So the chickens have come home to roost for Mr. Gaiman. And I think it as a big fan of his formerly, I should say, still a fan of his work. I think it's important to read the entire article if you can. I did hear early on that Vulture also paywalled it, but I heard from other places that it was taken out of the paywall restrictions so people can read it.
Yeah. I mean, that always is weird to me. Something that's like pressing news. It's not just like entertainment news, or, I mean, I guess this isn't like breaking, like world altering news, I guess.
Well, it's not like a whistleblower event, or something.
Right. But it is still a horrific thing to find out.
Well, and if other people can be like, I was around him around that time too, and wait a minute, I was actually 18 and he was, 50,
right?
And he really pressured me and whatever. Then it's important in that case, or even if it's not involving him and somebody's able to identify that dynamic in their own lives with someone else, that's important.
Yeah, it's important for people to be able to just get this kind of information out. It's not like the update on an NBA roster or something.
Right.
I know that these places need to make their money, and we're in the kind of wild west of internet journalism.
Content.
Yeah. But yeah, in instances like this, it's like, I don't know how you don't see how weird it is to put it behind a paywall. But that's neither here nor there.
Sure. But yeah, no, I was saying I think it is really important, if you are a big fan of his, as difficult as it may be, to go ahead and read that entire article.
Yeah.
Just to understand and to not, because a lot of times when something terrible happens, or you find out that one of your favorite artists is a terrible person or allegedly did some very terrible things, the knee-jerk reaction is like, no, there's no way.
Yeah.
And especially if you're younger or really tapped into this person as like an identity, which a lot of people are for Neil Gaiman's works, it can be hard to take information at face value and be really objective about it.
Yeah.
But you owe it to yourself to read the article, understand that these are not allegations that came out of nowhere. You can believe them, you can take them or leave them, but it's important to understand what has been alleged. And
I think that goes for anything in a situation where someone like this, like a mega popular famous person that, like you said, people kind of base their lives around.
Well, you get tattoos, and you go to conventions. You look for when he's going to be reading pieces of his work.
Right. I mean, you become a writer because you're inspired by this person.
Yeah.
You write stories in the same kind of voice. You take a lot of inspiration from this person, and then you have to go back and kind of rethink all of that stuff. And it kind of recontextualizes everything that you thought was important at the time.
Sure.
Concerning him. And I think anytime something like this happens, I think you really need to, it may be rough, but you kind of really have to do the due diligence and kind of take in the information in full. That's like I hate to make this analogy. It's not like it's inappropriate or anything, but it goes back to wrestling and Hulk Hogan.
Sure. Yeah.
Vince McMahon. The things that those dudes did. The Hulk Hogan thing, I know, it's a running joke with the fuck Hulk Hogan thing and all that stuff. But considering last week's episode and everything that's been going on with him, it is interesting because the further and further away you get from the situation itself, the more people are like, well, was it even really that bad?
Right.
And then when you actually listen to the tapes, you're like, it's actually worse than I remember.
Yeah.
This is awful stuff.
Yeah.
And the same thing with this, and the same thing with Bill Cosby, and the same thing with anybody else that you held in high regard as far as a pop culture figure.
Yeah.
You can get away from it and relive all of that stuff. You can read Sandman again. You can read American Gods, and like 10 years from now, and just be like, "Man, that sucks." What happened with that again? Like he was like a
this guy was
like
really
a sex
good
pest or something, like right? Then But if you haven't done that information, that research, and really kind of just put yourself in the shoes of the victims, and to try to empathize with them, it's going to be kind of lost to the sands of time, especially nowadays with how quickly this information moves. Honestly, when you were talking about the podcast, bro, all that shit came flooding back because I forgot all about that.
It seems like decades ago.
Yeah. I was like, podcast? The fuck is he talking about?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That did open up the doors. So,
yeah. Well, and that was the case, too, where Neil himself, he has like an active blog site and social media.
He used to be very vocal on Twitter.
And Twitter, too, yeah. But since that came out, radio silent.
You shut the fuck up.
Right.
So he has responded.
He has now responded. He finally updated his blog posts with his response, which, I won't read in full because it's, its own full page of writing. But essentially to say, I was inconsiderate. I thought too much of myself and not of my partners. However, everything that happened was consensual. I never, forced anyone to do anything, et cetera, et cetera. And
classic.
Yeah. Basically, but he kind of ends it all by saying like, I will never admit to something that I haven't done. And I look back at the text messages and the emails and the correspondence that I have, and it is still a consensual back and forth between me and someone that I consensually had a relationship with. And so I felt the need to respond to all this by saying some of what you read or some of what has been alleged is true, but is completely distorted, and some of it is completely false. That never happened. So, he said the classic story of like, I'm really working on myself now. I'm, moving forward to be the best person I can in the future, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's basically what you expect from these kind of responses. He says he understands if people don't trust him anymore and like don't trust him as a writer or as a person, and but he's working to be a better person, et cetera, et cetera. So
okay,
yeah.
Where does this Amanda Palmer person fit into all of this?
So I was going to bring that up too. Amanda Palmer was his wife, his second wife.
Was
they're
divorced?
They were divorced as of 2022, I think.
Okay.
But she was around for a lot of these alleged stories of things that happened.
Do we have to say alleged?
We do, because nothing has been proven by law.
Well, no, I just mean like us. You think he's gonna sue us?
I don't know, man.
I'm just busting your balls, buddy.
Imagine getting sued by Neil Gaiman.
That'd be awesome, actually.
Yeah.
Then they'd have to attach us to all these articles.
It's true.
And Neil Gaiman, for some strange reason, decided to sue
the One Beer In podcast.
They have, 130 subscribers on YouTube.
They don't need the listeners don't need to know that.
Yes, they do, because if they're listening and they're not subscribed, then
subscribe.
they need to go and subscribe.
This is a very appropriate time to ask for subscriptions, please.
Probably
Speaking
not the
of
best
paywalls,
time.
yeah,
but it's true.
Yeah. But yes, Amanda Palmer is his second wife, who he's now divorced with, who he had a child with, and who is also, at least was, I'm not, like, her reputation has to also be, facing some criticism.
Yeah.
Because she was very outspoken as well about feminism and feminist beliefs, and she's an artist herself. She was part of a band, and
that's a stretch. I've seen the clips.
Yeah, and was into like performance art and things like that. Oh, God. And so
exhausting white people doing white people stuff.
It was very much like one of those out there artsy fartsy.
Yeah, you saw the clip that went viral, right?
No,
there's this clip going viral now, and it's a compilation of all the times that she did a cover, one of those like ukulele covers of "Fuck the Police."
Oh no!
And she said every word.
Ooh.
And she said them with a hard R, baby.
Ow. Wow.
So it wasn't even like, okay, even if I were to give you some artistic, give you some artistic license with this, which I would never do in my entire life.
Right.
It's one of my least favorite things of all time is when white people do folksy ukulele covers of rap songs. I'd say probably my least favorite thing on the planet is heavy metal covers of rap songs. So it goes heavy metal covers, folksy ukulele covers.
Yeah.
And then probably just like
overly long karaoke
covers
of
when they don't know the lyrics.
Yeah.
And then maybe just like when people call, or when white people call 50 Cent Fitty for some reason.
Fitty.
Those are probably my 5 least favorite things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a compilation, and she does it a lot. Like this was like her signature bit, I guess.
Cool.
Because it was a shit ton of shows. She was performing outside. She was performing in an auditorium. She was every time she got a fucking microphone in her hand, she was like, "Guess what you're about to hear."
Let me get the ukulele.
It was terrible.
Yeah, that's rough.
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so yeah.
But
if it pops up on my timeline, I'll send it to you. It's probably going to pop up on yours at some point.
Please don't. But all that to say, she is intertwined in this, and according to the woman that this Vulture article is written about, she said that essentially Amanda Palmer knew that this was like a recurring thing, that he was like at very least a womanizer.
Yeah.
And didn't protect her really in any way. And essentially, because at the time that she was hot, okay, so let me get into the story a little bit.
Okay.
This woman that the article's written about was hired as a babysitter for Amanda Palmer and Neil Gaiman. However, at the time, Neil Gaiman and Amanda Palmer were living separate from each other. Still married, but separated. In houses not too far from each other, though. So their kid could, easily come and go between the two. And Amanda's the one who hired her and sent her over to Neil's place and didn't in any way, like, think to be like, hey, he's creepy, don't let him, get close to you, or even just maybe not hire a babysitter that's a young woman.
Right.
So, it really feels like she is at very least complicit with what happened, if not in one way or another directly responsible for, aiding in his predation.
Yeah.
So, it's not looking good for her either.
Good.
Based on the article. So, yeah, I mean, it's a real punch to the gut, because Neil Gaiman was one of those guys when I was, trying to find really what kind of fiction I liked growing up. That was like, I like what this guy's cooking here.
Yeah.
And, to see one of your heroes just eat dirt is tough to stomach.
Happens to us all,
Yeah. Unfortunately,
everybody's gonna fall.
Yeah.
You hear that, Sherry?
Everybody,
even your heroes.
Yeah. Celine Dion turned out to be a terrible person.
She still got time.
Just kidding, Celine. Just kidding, Celine. You're doing great.
For now,
we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. But all to say, yeah, I mean, it's horrible what has been exposed by this article, and Yeah, my thoughts are with the victims in this case, and I hope that some justice is served. And I think I will be able to continue enjoying some of his works, but it's obviously tainted in a way that is irreparable. I can enjoy American Gods, I'm sure, if I went back and reread it, but it's all within the backdrop of these heinous allegations. So
yeah, I don't know if I can. I don't know. At least it now informs the writing itself.
Yeah.
It's not just that these things were happening concurrent to each other.
Yeah.
It's that his perspective and his prose, I guess, has to be, you have to look at it in a different light and go,
yeah,
what is he really trying to get off his chest with some of this stuff?
And that's what I mean more than anything is everything is now under a different kind of scrutiny and can be painted in a different light. So it will be hard. But I don't know. I'm giving it some time. I'm giving it some time.
Sounds like you need some time.
I do need some time because I love it. American Gods is one of my favorite novels of all time, and Sandman is, top 3 comic books in my opinion. So it's rough.
Yeah, it's rough.
But I'm not the victim here.
No.
I got to keep that in context. So yeah. Any hooser.
Yeah. All right. Let's upswing a little bit.
Okay.
Let's upswing a little.
Speaking of comic books.
Yeah. It's now time for a little bit that we call trailer trash.
Trailer trash.
And this week's trailer trash, we haven't done a trailer trash in a while.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
No honks?
No. Oh, I did it. Did I not? Am I crazy?
You did not honk.
Okay, I'm sorry. It is now time for trailer trash.
Trailer trash.
You're right. I didn't honk. You're right. You're absolutely right. Ooh. Now doing it. Oof. We hadn't done trailer trash in a while, so
it's been a while. Yeah.
All right.
That feels better.
This is going to be a short one because we're just doing one, and it's the Born Again trailer. Well, I guess it's not called the Born Again trailer. It is the trailer for Daredevil Born Again. The new Disney Plus, as you stated, maybe requel.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just season 4. It's kind of hard to tell.
Who knows? Who can say?
Because they've got pretty much everyone coming back. All of the stars from the Netflix series. If you're unfamiliar, get familiar. If you have Disney Plus, then you need to go and watch Daredevil season 1 and 2, Punisher season 1, Luke Cage season 1, Defenders. You can skip Iron Fist.
Yeah.
And that's it, right? Oh, and Jessica Jones season 1. Yeah. I don't know about season 2.
Yeah.
I don't really remember it that well. I remember season 1 blowing my socks off.
Punisher season 2 is pretty good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Punisher season 2 as well. Yeah, it is really good now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah.
Still remember the last portion of that and just being like,
yeah,
let's go.
Yeah.
Excited. Then nothing came out after that.
Nothing. Fucking
yeah, the worst.
We'll see though, because Disney has now the rights to these shows, and just quick little backstory. These shows were mega popular on Netflix
for a while.
It was kind of strange. Yeah, it was kind of strange that Marvel did a deal with Netflix to have these kind of boots on the ground stories. These very local New York comic book stories.
Yeah.
Daredevil season 1 comes out and it blows the fucking doors off of everything. Shocks the world. One of the best first seasons of a comic book thing.
Yeah.
Ever, really.
Oh yeah.
And then I think really they all were just trying to replicate that success from that point forward.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to bore you guys with the details of all the shows, but they made a bunch of them, all the aforementioned shows. They started to become like diminishing returns. And then finally Netflix was like, we're done. And this was around the same time that Disney Plus was being like, it was becoming a thing. You heard the rumblings now that Disney owned 20th Century Fox, Hulu, ESPN, all this stuff. They were like, well, what are they going to do? And they're like, they're probably going to come out with an app. That's probably going to be, they're going to have a streaming service of their own. And it's like, okay, but it's just Disney stuff. And then you go, well, no, not really. It's a lot of content. It is a shit ton of stuff. And actually, you can go on Disney Plus. I don't know if you know this. I don't know the last time you've been on Disney Plus. You can go on Disney Plus and then just watch the Hulu shows through Disney Plus.
You
don't need to have Hulu as a separate app.
Yeah, they streamline everything.
Yeah. So I was on there the other day and I'm seeing like some like fucked up movies. And I'm like, why is this on Disney Plus? Disney didn't make this.
What are these R-rated horror movies doing on my Disney Plus?
It's fucking crazy. And then I'm like, okay, now I get it.
Yeah. They cross streams.
So Disney Plus gets the rights to all this stuff, and then they don't do anything with it. First, they don't even put it on Disney Plus. Everyone's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You got the rights.
It just disappeared, and people are like, I guess it's gone now.
Right. And it was like, it sucked because it's like, I, for one, definitely rewatched the first couple seasons of Daredevil and Punisher. And then nothing came of it. And then out of nowhere, you start hearing these rumblings of like, maybe they're gonna do like a thing with Daredevil. Who knows? And then the main guy, I forgot the actor's name.
Oh God, it's right there. I don't want to look at it, but I'm gonna. Charlie Cox.
Charlie Cox. It's such an easy name.
Yeah.
Charlie Cox. He's out there, and he's staying in shape, and he's still kind of looking like Daredevil.
Yeah.
And you're like, he's still got the look. There's something going on here.
Yep.
And then finally, Disney Plus starts rolling out their shows, and there's the She-Hulk TV show.
Oh yeah,
very divisive.
Yeah,
but
I forgot about that one.
There was an arc with our boy Charlie Cox, aka Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil.
He showed up in Spider-Man as well.
Which was first?
Spider-Man, I think.
Spider-Man and then She-Devil?
She-Devil.
She-Devil. She-Hulk. Is it Spider-Man first?
I think so.
Okay, so he shows up in Spider-Man first.
She-Devil.
And then She-Devil.
Yeah.
And then She-Hulk. And then you're like, all right, well, you're using the guy. And then Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, he shows up in the Kate Bishop show, the Hawkeye show.
Hawkeye, yeah.
And so you're seeing them plop them around in different things.
Yeah.
And you're going, all right,
we haven't forgotten about you.
You're using the guys and girls. Let's go. Yeah. So then they finally announce Born Again, Daredevil. And again, not going to go through all of the details, but there is a lot of stuff here because there was a lot of like rumor mill stuff where it was like, okay, is it going to be is it just going to be a continuation of the show? No, it's going to be a little bit more lighthearted, and that pissed a lot of people off because the whole point was that they were gritty, basically TV MA shows, and the tone of a lot of Disney Plus stuff has been kind of kid-friendly, family-friendly at least.
Like CW adjacent.
Yeah, and that was not the tone of these Netflix shows, not even a little bit. So people were kind of upset about that. And then you start seeing like, okay, Charlie Cox is back. Who else is coming back? Well, no one. It's just going to be him and a new cast. And everybody was pissed about that. So then they were like, okay, fine.
And Vincent D'Onofrio got vocal on Twitter. And was like, hey, I would love to be back.
Right.
So if you guys want me back, make it happen.
Right.
And
make it happen.
Let them know.
They did.
Yeah.
And I wonder, because this is a question that always arises when there's a dramatic change like this at a studio as large as Disney Plus or Disney rather.
Yeah.
If that was the plan always and they were just like kind of, dangling the carrot in front of people. Have you seen this conspiracy theory about the Sonic redesign?
Yeah, I did.
A lot of people believe that the Sonic redesign was a concerted
publicity stunt.
To drum up like interest in the movie, which is obviously not true because if you were there and not just reading old articles, if you were actually there when it was happening, we all knew that it was like this is gonna kill the series. It might even kill the video games. It's such a bad design, and it was so dramatic. Like they had to go online and like they were like hat in hand, like we are sorry that we fucked up your childhood. So anyway,
his weird teeth.
I don't think that kind of stuff is true. I don't know about the Disney Plus thing though, because it seems like a lot of people you would have to get together.
Yeah.
And
well, what? Okay, so I think it may be partially true. My thought around this is they announced Charlie Cox was back.
Yeah.
Because obviously they already had him earlier on anyway for his little appearances, but you have to realize that wasn't done on a whim. It was because they clearly had an inkling that they wanted to continue using him as Daredevil.
Yeah.
Whether they would actually go back to the well for Daredevil again and make another TV show or a movie with him, maybe not.
Yeah.
But obviously it was a pop for fans.
Oh, by the way, just to interject real quick, the Netflix TV shows were kind of pseudo connected to the MCU. I mean, they were, but not really.
Not really.
So that's the other wrinkle where people are like, well, how is he going to fit into the movie universe?
Which is funny why they added him to that cameo in Spider-Man, because everyone was saying during the Netflix run, like, where's Spider-Man? Like,
right.
Daredevil and Spider-Man are like close. They run around the same areas and often have crossings.
Right. You gotta, and that's, that is the issue with doing a lot of this crossover stuff, or a lot of this like shared universe stuff, is like you have to do so much like painting around this kind of thing. Not once was Spider-Man swinging through New York City. No. I mean, they are in New York the whole time. Yeah. I don't think they ever, I think they probably go other places. They are in New York exclusively.
We never see Avengers Tower, like, like all this stuff.
There's just like quick little mentions in the first season of like the New York incident. And there's like, I think there's one scene where they're talking about how real estate was affected by all the buildings that got destroyed when those aliens came. And that's pretty much it. They kind of just leave it alone after that. They're like, there's your bone. Yeah. Chew on that.
Right. That's animals. Enough. We mentioned it. But yeah, no, I think it was very clear from the start that they knew what they had with Charlie Cox and Daredevil. At least them, and probably John Bernthal and Punisher, because his level rose many folds over since Punisher.
I think his continued stardom has a lot to do with them going, well, we got to bring him back, obviously.
Yeah. So and then add into that the fact that Vincent D'Onofrio is like, a world-class actor that is identifiable,
one of the best,
and clearly great in the role. And then, I think they didn't know by the time that, let's say, Spider-Man was out. But I think once they start leaving the breadcrumbs in the larger universe, and you get Vincent D'Onofrio in there, you bring him back for Devil Woman, or whatever you said.
The Devil Woman, yes.
She-Hulk. At that point, I think contracts are being signed. Yeah. I think people are behind the scenes planning it out. I think we're getting directors and writers involved. And
but then you also got to think about the bit players.
Yeah.
The other people who are making appearances. His partner in the show,
Foggy.
I was gonna say Goffy. Some goofy ass name. Foggy.
He's the reverse version.
Yeah.
Foggy and Karen Page.
Yeah.
So they're back too.
Yeah, and they were the ones that people were like, are they gonna recast? Are they not gonna even address it? What are they gonna do with that? So they brought. Okay, sorry, but I said long story short, but it's a long story. They brought everybody back, as evidenced by finally the release of the trailer.
Yeah.
So let's get into the actual trailer trash of the trailer trash bit.
I loved it. It gave me some tingles.
Yeah.
I would say I have like middle of the road expectations for this, just because modern Marvel really hasn't done it for me. But I do think everyone involved is going to give it their A game. And I think people know that this is really important. And I really do think this is a litmus test for Marvel to, I guess step 2 after Deadpool 3 to see if...
Did I tell you I finally watched it?
You didn't.
I did.
Okay. And
Do you want to get into it now?
I mean, we're here.
Well, do you want? Okay. Let's get into it now.
Yeah, I mean, we're here. Why not?
I thought it was really good. I thought it was surprisingly good.
Yeah.
Because everything that everybody said about it online, I mean, they were so like pretentious about it, and I do get what people were saying about it. I just think that it was a successful movie, but studios are going to continue making superhero movies.
Yeah.
And honestly, if we're being like for real about it, it's only 2 studios now at this point. I mean, there's other people who attempted for a couple years.
Sure.
And it just didn't land. So now it's 2 giant studios making these movies. So in the past couple of years, we've seen the release of some of the best movies of the past like 5-10 years. We've seen some incredible performances. We've seen independent movies outperform, way outkick their coverage. We've seen giant blockbusters just get absolutely shit on. So we're in a situation in Hollywood where like everybody who's, I don't know, I just feel like, and maybe I'm not informed enough. Maybe this opinion is coming from my butt, but I just feel like they may have jumped the gun a little bit on the historical importance of Deadpool 3. Because I just don't think that it landed that hard other than its financial success.
You're saying of like the importance of seeing finally Wolverine and Deadpool together?
No, I mean its context in Hollywood history. People were so upset with how the movie was made and the choices that were made in the movie, the kind of like, you know, obviously Deadpool, the whole bit is that he's winking at the audience and everything, but all of the references to 20th Century Fox, for instance, and Disney Plus and Disney, and the kind of slow downfall of the MCU and like just being so self-referential, while at the same time just being a kind of run-of-the-mill superhero movie, but being a major success. You just see a lot of people that were like, you know, it's not even that good, but this is like the death knell of, you know, blockbuster cinema and all this stuff. And I just was, and I read all these tweets and all these people having this conversation. And then I finally watched the movie and I was just like, it's not even that good.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's a good movie. I liked it, but it's not that good to even or that bad.
Right. It's a fun time at the movies.
Yeah, it's just a good time.
It's a good time. You leave the theater going, that was fun.
Yeah. I couldn't. I was just like waiting for the, you know, the moment in the movie where I was gonna be like, wow, I can't, you know, this is, and it just, I don't know. It just didn't. Other than the fact that it was so monstrously financially successful in the face of all these movies not being not doing so well at the box office. Otherwise, other than that, I'm just like, I mean, do you think that they're going to make 6 more Daredevil or 6 more Deadpool movies because this one was so successful?
No, I don't think so. Everything that thematically happened in the movie makes it feel like we're going to take a break from Deadpool for a while.
Well, and even if they did, again, it's one movie. It's one studio making one movie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just think people really...
There was a real rejection by the film community on that movie.
Yeah.
And I just think it was unwarranted.
Exactly. That is exactly my point.
Yeah. It was a good time. It was
the movie
fun.
itself was really fun.
Right. Loosen up a little.
I think the idea of how they handled getting Logan in was pretty easy and obvious. And I'll say this. I was waiting for it to be either way dumber or way smarter.
Yeah.
and it wasn't either one.
Yeah.
And that was a little disappointing. I kind of felt like, like all the other Deadpool movies, the first hour, you're like, he's really taking the piss. It's a really funny movie. It's really smart. The references are really tongue-in-cheek, and you're like, wow, I can't believe they were allowed to even go there. And then you get to the third act, and
the dramatic turn, and it's like...
It's just like, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
How are they going to tie this all together?
Yeah.
And they don't even... Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
They don't even kill anybody. They both survive in the end, and they just kind of walk away. Dude, at the end, they have a, get-together.
Yeah.
Where he gets back with... By the way, I'm sorry. I'm going to get off this.
Uh-huh.
But I really didn't like the... I didn't like the plot, the subplot of him doing all this stuff because he's trying to win Vanessa back.
Yeah.
Vanessa? Is it Vanessa? I'm thinking Vanessa because of Kingpin.
Yeah.
Vanessa. You disrespected Vanessa. I don't know her. I can't remember the character's name.
Morena Baccarin.
So I didn't like the first two movies. He comes back from the dead. From the dead.
Yeah, and I would have been more upset because Deadpool 2, say what you will for it, but it touched me emotionally because of that relationship.
Exactly.
And then it's like it's over, and it's like
off screen,
it's over, and it's like a little bit of a slap in the face.
Yeah, I didn't like it. And they just kind of throw it at you like, yeah, everything that 1 and 2 was built towards, done off screen. And then in the end, they do this cute little handhold thing where you're like, oh, there's hope there. And it's like, yeah, there was hope in the first two movies. So now I just get to live with the fact that they may or may not be together.
Right.
I'm not watching Marriage Story, man. I don't want a real life depiction of a relationship. It's a fucking comic book.
Yeah.
I want happily ever after.
Yeah.
I want to be happy when I walk out of there. I don't want a hopeful kind of upswing of the emotion. I want to know, goddammit, are they together or not?
Yeah. Well, and I do think that emotion is warranted, and I think in a way it's what was intended by doing that.
Fuck that.
Because they wanted you to, because the entire first half of it is just basically what a shitty situation Deadpool's in now. So,
but it's not smart enough to warrant that kind of emotional depth.
I agree. It's a swerve where there wasn't needed to be a swerve. I think it's more of a swerve to be like, let's get her out of the way for a while because we don't have to deal with that.
Right. He needed something to do. He needed something to fight for. Yeah. This needed to be something.
Right. And we've already dealt with him trying to protect his loved ones and build his own family, his chosen family.
Right.
And so that's already tread well. So I get it, but it was lazy. And
it was lazy.
It felt off for her character to be so cold to him. And
after everything that they've been through, she was like, you're not Deadpool anymore. You need to find purpose in life, or I'm going to leave you.
Yeah, right. Well, and also the angle of everyone tries to kill me when you're around. It's like, yeah, but that's what you sign up for when you're...
He was a hitman when she got with him.
Right, with Deadpool. I don't know, man.
And she died.
Yeah. Okay, let's get off of it.
Okay.
It was an enjoyable, fun movie. I have no regrets seeing it. I think overly criticized and overly pointed to as this, like you said, death knell for blockbusters.
Yeah.
Hollywood blockbusters.
Right. So now we've got Kingpin, we've got everybody coming back, we've got
the point I was getting to before the swerve to Deadpool 3 was that
I'm glad you remember.
Yeah. So I think the first litmus test in modern Marvel, I should say, because we had Blade in the past, obviously, to see if a rated R, mature, very violent, grown up kind of Marvel property would work was Deadpool 3 specifically. Now that was such a success, I think they feel a little more safe by doing it that way for Daredevil. And I think that this series is going to help position how Marvel attacks this moving forward. Because if this is a flop and people don't like it and it sucks and nobody sees it, I think we're not going to see another sort of mature radar property for a while.
Which, they've been having a lot of issues with their TV shows.
Yeah.
They finally got back to production on Agatha All Along, and it was way past its sell-by date. Finally came out, and I heard it was good.
I heard it was good too, but I wasn't going to watch it because I don't care anymore.
Honestly, man, I didn't care from the jump, but I was like, fuck it, it's Catherine Hahn.
Yeah.
I like Catherine Hahn.
Yeah.
So I watched the show. But when it took like 3 years, I was like, dude, you you lost me.
Yeah,
There's
no.
no way I'm going back and I'm dedicating any amount of time to that.
Yeah.
I would like to see Aubrey Plaza, though.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry.
thoughts, sir.
Thoughts.
Yes.
I forgot about that. That's
Very insensitive, Marco.
no. I mean, I'm not even going to.
Okay.
I'm just saying, it's like.
Nope. You got it right the first time. You got it right the first time.
Okay, so trash or not trash?
Not trash at all. The trailer itself looks awesome. It looks like they get the stylistic action down right. It's very, very brutal, but also it seems like they have a lot of the thematics that make Daredevil work. Like,
Should I just take that out?
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I really like the Catholic angle of it all. It's very good, and I really appreciate that in Daredevil. How about you, my friend? Trash or not trash?
Not trash.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this show to come back in any way, shape, or form, and so it looks brutal.
Yeah.
It looks like they're gonna do some fun stuff with it, and the thing is with the MCU and with Disney will spare no expense to like throw their dick around and be like, look what we can do.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be fun to kind of see, what direction they go with the show, how many people they bring back, if they do any kind of cool cameos or anything.
They have James Gandolfini's son in there. I don't know if you saw
I did see that.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was cool, man. I'm glad to see him get some more work.
Mm-hmm,
Very cool. Because he's good. He's a good actor.
He is good. He's good in everything I've seen him in so far.
Yeah.
And we also have a new villain that we haven't seen on screen before. What is it? I was trying to think of it without looking at it. My mistake. Well, we're gonna get White Tiger apparently.
Okay.
Muse. His name is Muse.
Muse.
Yes. Muse. This like radical artist guy who's apparently a supervillain in Marvel. So
No Craven though. No Craven.
No Craven.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
moving right along.
And right along we shall move onto the last bit.
The Tiki Talkies.
The Tiki Talkies. Man, oh man. I cannot tell you how many conversations nowadays start with, I was on TikTok and I saw this video, so on and so forth. And that may be a thing of the past by the time you are listening to this episode. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I'm sure if you are on TikTok, you've been following along with what's been going on. But as of this recording, January 15th, TikTok is set to shut down in the United States on January 19th. And apparently, I was just reading an article, and if this was... I don't cite articles like you do. I just see them and then just move forward.
Marco hates writers. He wants AI to take over.
Hold on. Actually, I can cite it. I can cite it.
Oh, can you?
I can because I sent it to someone.
Wow.
I know, right? This is via The Information, the leading publication of high-powered tech executives and founders.
Oh, wow.
That sounds so pretentious. I
sure
can't
does.
believe I read that out loud. Blech. And it was written by Sylvia Varnum O'Regan and Kea Urif. I apologize for the pronunciation of your names. Anyway, essentially, the thought is that the app is just going to shut down. At first, people thought that it was just going to become like a slow bug to death obsolete app.
Yeah.
Where no background updates would get pushed, no security updates would get pushed, and you wouldn't be able to store your information.
It's like if you ever gotten like an outdated like smart device.
Yeah.
Sometimes like the apps are, these long forgotten, long outdated apps that you can download, sure, but then they stop working immediately or super buggy and whatnot.
Plug in your Kindle. Plug in the Kindle you got for Christmas in 2000.
Oh, you found that one out yourself, yeah.
Yeah, and give that a shot, and you'll see what we're talking about. But apparently that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is just going to shut the fuck down.
Dead.
Unless the Supreme Court steps in, which is looking increasingly unlikely.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I mean, obviously there are other apps to use. There are other places to go for this kind of entertainment and access to information. But it doesn't really sit well with me that this is happening.
Yeah.
From an American freedom of speech standpoint. And I think the hypocrisy is almost not worth stating.
Yeah.
About the U.S. government caring about China allegedly spying on us through this app when every app is spying on us in one way or
and
another.
they're spying on us.
And they are directly spying on us, yeah.
Yeah.
So
they just don't want other countries spying on us.
To have that information. Right. So like to make it this straw man argument about, we're trying to protect your privacy, guys. Yeah. It's like, nobody believes
We're doing it for you.
It's for you, guys. I mean, come on.
The real conspiracy is that they don't give a shit about American security. They want the algorithm, and the fact that the ByteDance, I believe, is the parent company. That ByteDance was like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
That's what pissed these guys off.
Yeah.
That's the real story here.
Yeah. And some, because I've seen some of the buyers were saying like, look, we'll just buy the rights to the app. You can keep your secret, your algorithm to yourself.
But that's bullshit, because that's not what... There's no way that an American company is just going to buy the rights to something. The value in TikTok is the algorithm.
Yeah. The biggest value, at least. I mean, you could make money off of just the app itself through ads and, people buying premium services and whatnot. But
yeah, I mean, and that is what would have happened. They probably would have done like TikTok Plus, and then then it would be like a paid subscription service to like.
Thanks for the rose.
Right. Thanks for the rose. What would be your like NPC thing?
A hot dog.
Why did you have that locked and ready to go?
I was thinking about it. Yeah. Don't take that out of context, please.
Oh man, we just need to make just a TikTok of that, and then we'll post it, and then it'll get about 1,000 views, and then the app will die.
Yes,
and we won't be able to do anything with
all of our TikToks. Our most viewed app.
Yeah, which by the way, some of our TikToks did pretty well.
They did,
and it's kind of sad in that regard, because it's
they did far better than the YouTube Shorts or the Instagram Reels.
And that's the thing about this, the algorithm itself. That's the beauty of that app is it the not just the access to so many different people, but like its willingness to present you to so many different people. It's very rare. And I think maybe because TikTok hasn't been around long enough to understand that what happens with these kinds of companies is they do become these capitalistic just rags of like, ad after ad after. So like
bleed you dry.
Speaking of I saw this on TikTok. This girl posted a TikTok where basically she was like, I feel bad for all of the content creators on this app, the people who have kind of made a living and the people who are, they post daily, and this is like TikTok is their thing. They are a TikToker. Right. Because they keep telling people, follow me on Instagram, follow me on YouTube, subscribe. And she's like, listen, even if I do follow you to all these other apps, let me show you something. And then she shows a screen recording of her Instagram feed.
Yeah.
And she's like, add, sponsored post, sponsored post. Finally, a friend of mine, add, sponsored post, add, sponsored post, page that they want me to follow that I don't follow. So it was like, that's what your Instagram is right now. And that's what everyone's Instagram is. Because, like, by the way, there are people who send me stuff on different apps now, and I don't get to it for like 3 or 4 days because I just don't look at those apps anymore.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was addicted because I don't think I was addicted to any kind of social media. I truly don't. I'm not even trying to like be that kind of person who's like
kind of defensive.
I'm just saying, guys, look, I can stop at any time.
Yeah.
I can stop whenever I want, and I don't need anyone's permission. I can delete those apps.
Totally.
I can delete those apps right now.
Yeah.
I wasn't addicted.
Okay. I believe you.
So I can come and go as I please. But they were fun to go on to. They were fun to look at. People posted fun stuff. I saw a lot of interesting and fun things.
Yeah.
And it was just like interesting to go on these apps. And it slowly started to happen. Obviously, Facebook was first. And I deleted my Facebook a long time ago because that one, I saw the writing on the wall with that one.
Yeah.
And I was like, this app fucking sucks. This is going in a bad place.
You're not missing anything. Well, you're missing a lot.
I was just about to say, there's some stuff I know I'm missing.
Yeah.
But then Mark Zuckerberg's punk ass came in and bought Instagram, and then he was like, "You thought you got away from me, Marco? You thought you got away? Here I am.
We'll make you a Facebook account if you want.
Yeah. Actually, we'll just make it, because I heard that like up until like recently, you could still search my name and like a profile, not my profile, but a thing that was like, you know, follow Marco on like through Meta or whatever. You could find my Instagram, which I don't have a problem with. I obviously use my full government name on there. Sure. But I deleted my Facebook intentionally. I didn't want to be on there.
Yeah.
So he Meta buys Instagram and then ruins the fucking app. It's just dog shit. It's terrible now. Instagram, I was one of the last holdovers of thinking Instagram was the best social media app. I was not a big Twitter person. I was like, Instagram's the best.
Hey, I mean, it kind of was for a while.
Yeah, not anymore. It's dog shit now. Dog shit. Every time I go on there, I get the same feed that girl was talking about. Yeah. It's just awful. And it's some stuff that I'm like, this is not even a good algorithm because try as I might, it shows me things. And I'm not even talking about like, you know, stuff that I know that I clicked on, you know, maybe 6 months ago, and I'm like, why is it still showing me cowboy hats? It's like, you looked at cowboy hats once, and I get that.
You said cowboy hat one time.
But it's some stuff that, like, I am vehemently against. AI art, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
I block and shit on AI art. I don't engage with it. If it pops up on my feed, I try to block it, mute it, say that I'm not interested. I do everything in my power to get it away from me.
Are you sure?
And it just over. I'm inundated with it.
I get ads for restaurants in California.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Couldn't tell you.
So, yeah, I mean, to that girl's point, I'm sorry to all the content creators, but I am not going to chase you around. If they start posting on YouTube, I already kind of watch YouTube a lot. So if I start seeing some TikTokers on YouTube, I'll watch that shit. But.
And that's the thing is like, I understand how hard this will be for a lot of content creators, a lot of TikTokers. But I try to see the silver lining here, and that's like, you know, we were around for the death of Vine and plenty of other apps that people got.
Yo, my name is Nicholas, and this is ridiculous.
Plenty of people who got famous on these apps.
You remember him?
That no longer exist.
Got mad gummy mummy, and this is ridiculous.
And you know, the only thing that I can say to hopefully give some perspective and again a silver lining for those creators is that like your talent is still there. You just may have to adjust the platform and adjust for the platform. But if you got something, you got something. So you saw with Vine, a lot of them ended up being super successful YouTube creators.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of people who they were smart enough to make the jump. They kind of changed their content a little bit.
Yeah.
And now they're like massively successful on other platforms. So, yeah, to your point, if you were a person that saw success on TikTok, this is not... It is only the end of the world if you let it be.
The platform didn't make you famous.
Well, I see what you're saying.
The platform, the platform, I will say, is not the reason why you were successful. It was that you were good at what you did.
Right. You were good at what
you just happened to be good on that platform.
Yeah.
So, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you just had 15 minutes of fame and had a funny TikTok, write it out, baby. That's what happens. But if you're like an aspiring comedian or I don't know, a at-home chef that likes to talk about food, it is extremely wise nowadays, especially to have your content on multiple places.
Yeah. For
many reasons, not just reach, but also because of things like this, where TikTok is suddenly going to die, supposedly.
I don't think that these politicians are even remotely thinking about what is going to happen to the economy, what is going to happen to a lot of these industries, what is going to happen to culture. Because in a very short amount of time, and people may think that this is hyperbolic, and I know that there's a lot of people that are like, oh, you can't sell your OnlyFans on TikTok anymore. Oh, you can't shake your ass to the latest ooh boo-hoo. And it's like, man,
why do you hate women?
I was just about to say, like, dude, why are you upset about that? Number one,
right, and
number two, touch grass,
right, please.
But the real reality is people like that are going to be affected. Chefs, stand-up comedians. There was this huge boom in popularity for stand-up comedians by just releasing their crowd work on TikTok.
Yeah.
And then they started selling out arenas. Not arenas. That's an exaggeration.
Oh, like Matt
theaters,
Rife.
Big theater. Matt Rife became a massive comedic star.
Huge.
Based off the strength of his crowd work on TikTok alone.
Yeah.
And now he's written a fucking memoir.
Right. He's got a book.
He's got a book out.
Yeah.
So and it's people who used it as a vehicle for the thing that they were already doing, and then it helped them push that thing forward.
Yeah.
And once you don't have that, you're going to see you're not going to see a lot of these different people, and I know that something else is going to arise.
Absolutely.
There is already a thing. I don't know if you saw Red Note.
Yeah, I did.
Red Note is a Chinese-owned app, and they're making no bones about it, by the way. They're like, it is Chinese.
You cannot talk about Tiananmen Square. They will ban you.
And this app is the most downloaded app right now in the App Store. There are millions and millions of people flocking to it. If you look under any popular TikTokers' comment section, it is flooded with messages saying, come to Red Note. Please go to Red Note. So did we just open Pandora's box? Because there's no room for a TikTok competitor right now unless there is no such thing as TikTok.
Right.
TikTok is so massive that it would not even be worth the cloud storage to try to create a competitor, because it is so good at what it does right now, and so ubiquitous in American culture right now, that it just would be pointless. But now that it might be going away, you're going to see a flood of competitors
and really bad apps.
Yeah. So
with bad algorithms.
Yeah, I just don't think that they really thought this one through, and they never do, because they're like old white people who don't know how to log into their own modems. And so they ask Mark Zuckerberg dumbass questions at these hearings, and then they're going to turn around and be like, I mean, that classic, just like, are you Chinese? He's like, no, Senator, I'm Malaysian. Or not Malaysian. Wait, where was he from? Shit, that's bad. Singapore. I'm Singaporean. Yeah. And then he's like, well, do you have a Chinese? Chinese passport? And he's like, no,
No,
Senator.
Senator.
I'm from Singapore. And he's like, what about your family? They're Singaporean, man. Like, how much?
Do you have any ties to the Chinese government?
No, I'm Singaporean.
No,
have you
Senator.
ever? No,
No.
Senator. And it just, if that wasn't enough for you to be like, yeah, these people don't know what they're talking about. This is going to end poorly.
Yeah.
I don't know what will, man. Not to say, by the way, okay, let me just also get this part out of the way. Not to say that there isn't a danger here.
Certainly. I would love if it was actually, if these were precautions taken to actually protect our privacy.
Yeah.
I would be all for it.
Yeah.
I would say, you know what? It is messed up that they're spying on us and they know that I searched for udon noodles at 3:00 in the morning. That's messed up. But
the disingenuousness of forcing an American sale, and that is all that they needed to do.
it is so.
As long as it's American owned, it's fine.
Right,
You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
Just as long as Jeff Bezos owns it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I think the generations that are on TikTok and engage with it are privy enough. Very nice.
Sorry.
Are privy enough to look at that and see it for what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't think the people that are legislating on these things think that they are.
No. No, they think they're the smartest people in the room, and they don't even understand how the room works.
Yeah.
They're just fumbling in the dark.
They don't know what room they're in.
They don't know how to turn the light switches on.
They're clapping. They're trying to get the lights.
Somebody's wheeled a TV in, and they're like, "This is how we watch the news, right?" Mm-hmm. They're still buying old TV media.
Yeah.
Succession reference. So,
Never seen it.
I don't know. You will though. You'll get it.
I will.
I don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of days. Let's speculate.
Okay.
See if we're right. Okay? Because by the time we record next week's episode, we will be right or
We
wrong.
will know. Yeah.
I think. You ready for this?
Y'all ready for this?
I think that there is going to be a 12th hour reversal.
Yeah.
Either in policy or someone is going to come out and be like, I'll buy it and I don't need the algorithm. You know, I'll pay whatever price. Something's going to happen. There is going to be, I don't think that the app is just going to shut down.
Yeah.
And this is not even like wishful or hopeful thinking. There is something in me. My gut is telling me that there is too much money at stake to just let something like that die.
Yeah. I almost align with that. What I think is going to happen is it will shut down for maybe a week. Trump gets into office. He makes it one of his first calls to reverse that, or to what I've heard some people in the news speculating that they may keep it in law because apparently it's a bit more complicated than Trump just walking in and being like, hey, I'm reversing this.
I'm reversing.
Right. But I think what they speculated, I think is going to be true, which is he's going to say we will turn a blind eye to it and not enforce it. So, like, technically it's a law that, this app can't be in the App Store and be updated, but we're not going to do it. We're not going to actually do anything to enforce the law.
But even what is I guess I should do more research into that, but what is the official stance of how do you shut something down under the guise of national security? What is the actual law that they're breaking that they can even enforce this?
It's probably under foreign espionage, the Foreign Espionage Act of some sort. Just speculating here.
The foreign espion, the Inspigog Act, the Inspigog Act of 1864.
The Espanola.
There was a lot of spies. James Bond was one. He's my favorite. And that's what we're gonna do. We're not gonna enforce it. We're gonna let it slide. We're gonna let it slide all the way down. Slip and slide. That's what we're gonna do. They're gonna slip and slide all the way down. But they're going to pay us. They're going to pay us big bucks to be in America. We're the greatest country. They're going to pay us a lot of money to be in our app stores. Our apples, our Googles. Our Googles are apples. Our oranges. Our pears. Our kiwis. Our grapefruits. A kumquat.
I'm glad he's back. Glad he's back for one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I had to throw a little.
You gotta do it. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So
Yeah.
okay, so like maybe 2 weeks from now, we will be lamenting the death of the app, and then it'll just be right back in. It does seem like a. I think you're right. I think you're right, because it does seem like a really smart thing for him to do. Far be it for me to call the man smart, but it does seem like a smart thing to let Biden be the one to kill it.
Yeah.
Just to swoop under him and be like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because then all these people on TikTok are just going to be like, I just saw this tweet that was like, you know, they were talking about the ceasefire, which, by the way, awesome.
Great.
That there was a ceasefire, free Palestine. And the tweet started with, I must apologize to all the racists. Trump apparently is the lesser of two evils. And it was like, you need to apologize to all the racists?
Excuse me?
What a way to start a tweet. That's all-time, like, crazy way to start a fucking tweet. I have to apologize to the racists? Why?
Yeah, no, you should never have to apologize to all the racists. I'm sorry.
Crazy. But that's what's going to happen, man. And I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of people on that app singing a different tune if what you said comes to pass.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, well, I mean, you know, he gave us TikTok, so I can post my silly TikToks.
And he's already sort of, you know, tipped the hat to TikTok saying, like, it was a major influence in his election. So,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Bread knows where it gets buttered, you know? Just so it's on on record here. Excuse me. The official ruling is the, quote, Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act. Yes.
Oh, man.
Sponsored
That is
by
rich.
Representative Mike Gallagher, Republican from Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just so you know.
A man who probably calls his grandkid whenever his internet goes out.
Yes.
Mike Gallagher might be 45 years old.
He could be. Who knows?
And you know what? I stand by it. I'm not even going to look him up. You going to look him up?
I'm going to look him up.
Let's see what he... Yeah, he's a young guy.
He's a young guy. He's 40 years old. He should know better.
Point stands. All right. Well, we'll see. That's all we can really do is speculate, and that's what we do here at the One Beer In podcast.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. All right?
Yep.
All right. Well, let's move right along to ending this thing on a high note.
Yeah.
Right?
As we do.
And that's what we do every week, no matter what happens. We got to end on a high note.
You're right.
So let us raise our glasses, and it is now time for the cheers of the week. Obi, what's your cheers?
Baboni.
Dude. Okay. I changed mine because I couldn't remember. I had one a couple days ago.
Yeah.
It was Bad Bunny as well. But I changed it, so I do have a different one. But go ahead.
The album, and I'm going to do my best here. Debí tirar más fotos.
Wow.
It is an album that was previewed a little bit just before the end of last year. Mm-hmm. And from that initial single, I was like, ooh, this is sounding good. Mm-hmm. And a little different from a lot of what Bad Bunny has done before.
Bad Bunny.
So, yeah, the album, in his own words, is like his most Puerto Rican album so far. And it very much is.
Yeah.
Lots of salsa in there. Lots of actual sounds from the island and references to famous Puerto Ricans and you know, the politics of the island and the history of the island and everything else. So, I just think it's a standout. It's a great way to start this year in music. And, you know, I obviously it's too early to say, but it's already one of those I've dog-eared in my mind for album of the year when we get to it.
Yeah.
Eventually. I think it's just really, really good. And I enjoyed it a lot, even as a Blanquito. Good stuff.
Yeah, I've been listening to it past couple days, and it's really made me want to kind of contextualize Bad Bunny a little bit more, because I'm not obviously as well versed in reggaeton music and
WWE wrestler Bad Bunny.
right, and Latin trap. I know they have another word for it. But see, I don't, I'm ignorant. I'm ignorant.
Yeah.
And I would like to educate myself a little bit more, because I need to understand, because I feel like I'm listening to this album and I feel like I'm like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
And is it incredible because it's just so new and different and also very referential to a style of music that I really, really love?
Yeah.
Or is it truly a like incredible, fantastic album? Like I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I'm just trying to understand, like, contextually, like, I guess, like, to simplify it, what do the haters say about Bad Bunny? What do people dislike about him? Because as far as I can tell and as far as I can feel, I fucking love this kid, man.
Yeah.
He does everything right. He does everything right. He puts out great music.
Yeah.
He does fun shit. Every time he pops up, I'm like, Bad Bunny's doing another fun or cool thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the approval rating for this kid in my household is very high.
Stylish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen online, the only sort of criticisms, I won't say the only, but the biggest criticisms that he seems to get is from people that aren't into Latin music in general, especially like, reggaeton and other things, that they just immediately go, oh, it sucks, whatever. They just completely put it down. Like,
I don't care about their opinions.
Right.
I want people who know about this shit, are well versed, are like students of the game. I want their opinions. I want them.
I think some of it, I've seen some, like, what I would consider more valid criticism of his music is that it has been a bit more surface level in the past. It's been more, general hip hop isms. Like talking about girls and parties and whatever.
Right.
And
So
just
he's
having
kinda
a good
shallow.
time. Yeah. But that's, again, to point to this album as sort of a return of sorts, and it being more overtly political.
Yeah.
And
Well, and
strip
honestly,
back.
I mean, I listen to a lot of shallow hip hop as well.
it's
And
fine. There's
again,
nothing wrong with that.
Well, but the thing is, I think because we're so well versed in hip hop, American hip hop, like I can understand, I believe, on a deeper level, like a shallow song, there is more to it than you can hear on the surface of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even the metaphors, the similes, the way that it's structured, it's like, on the surface, this is a guy talking about, I'm a pimp and blah 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 blah. But like, if you're listening to Rock Marciano, for instance, like, you're not just listening to a guy talking about his cars, money, hoes, and clothes.
Yeah.
This is like high level stuff. Like a guy putting words, stringing bars together that you couldn't do on your best fucking day.
Right.
And that's what I mean by, like, even if Bad Bunny is criticized for being shallow, is there a second level to that shallowness that I'm not understanding? I'm asking rhetorically, like, is there like that second level?
Well, the thing is, the album that came out 2 years ago, I think it was, that got a bunch of praise and a lot of, like, album of the year creds.
Yeah.
A lot of people saw that as like a revolution in what this kind of modern Latin hip hop sound could be.
Yeah.
So even recently, he's been an innovator within that sound. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's pretty clear he's one of the best doing it nowadays, and one of the biggest stars. Clearly, take everything away, he's one of the biggest, most recognizable stars.
Yeah, just off rip, he's just a massive pop star.
Which makes me that much more proud that he decided to strip back and make it more overtly political and talk more about, like, the culture itself and the history of the island, and a lot of things that aren't super popular to talk about in pop music.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's worth a listen, even if you're not into that style of music or don't speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Just look up the lyrics and uncover what is there for yourself. Yeah.
All right. my Cheers of the Week Redux is going to Whole Foods.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I got a confession to make. I've never been to Whole Foods.
Really?
Never stepped foot in one before.
Yeah.
I've been to
the parking's always terrible.
What's the other one? Starts with a T. Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's.
I've been to Trader Joe's a couple times.
Trader Joe's.
But I'd never been to a Whole Foods. And Andy took me to one.
Yeah.
They were just like, you're missing out.
There's also Sprouts. There's a Sprouts in Vito.
I have been to Sprouts before.
Yeah.
Haven't really taken it in for what it is.
Yeah.
But I have been to Sprouts. But I mean, you just walk through a Whole Foods and you're like, I get it. I get it on both levels. I get that it's just like a bunch of granola moms in there.
Yeah.
And there's I get it. And I get the idea of like it being this like late stage capitalism kind of, but also, I mean, I just, you walk through and you're like, stuff is like pretty comparably priced to like a Publix or whatever.
Sure.
And then there's I mean, we're just walking through like the hot food section and all the stuff that they have out, like their deli foods and all their creative little things.
Twinkle your fingers,
buddy.
Your fingies. You go.
Ooh. We went there a little late, so they didn't have all of the stuff out.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff, I mean, just like rows and rows of like, their house-made burritos and spicy, like their version of a Jamaican beef patty and like their sweets. Oh, you better believe I took some chocolate chip, some Bakla Big Bookies home.
Bakla Big Bookie.
And
Diet Boke.
and some some chocolate covered pretzels and whatnot.
Ooh,
so
yeah.
I don't know. It's just I hear people talk about this kind of stuff all the time, and they're just like, it just seems like a foreign place to me. I don't know if I'll ever step foot in a place like that. And I did, and I get it now.
Yeah.
I get the criticism, but I also get that it's fucking awesome.
You must fully embrace the suburbia.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. Feels good.
It does.
I feel like Trader Joe's is just kind of like vaguely the junk food version of Whole Foods.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Like it's more treats.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Sprouts is like the opposite end, where it's like mostly super granola, like health food, non-GMO, nothing.
See that for the birds, for the literal birds. You give that to give that bird food to the birds.
Take those seeds.
Yeah, I don't need all that bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get out of here, we got to do one last thing, and you know what it is, kids. We got to review these brewskis. So, from
Deschutes.
Deschutes, thank you. This is their what they would call their Prince Crispy Helles Lager. It is the Kirkland signature Costco beer.
Yeah, buddy.
And we did this, and we are going to give it a review. And what do you think? How many?
It's getting 4 booms. Boom! 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 Yeah, it's a good beer. It's a crispy beer. I would put this above, your run-of-the-mill Anheuser-Busch fare. I think this has more flavor, a little more complex.
Yeah.
It has more of that traditional Pilsner taste and a little bit of that bitterness in the back that I appreciate.
Yeah.
Where other, more streamlined, bigger beers tend to avoid that because, a lot of the normies out there don't like something that bitter. I think it's nice. It's crispy. It's good. It's not overly heavy, not overly hoppy, well balanced. I like it. It's not. It's nothing crazy, but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
It's a 4.
Right.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
And that's what you want from something like this.
Yeah.
Nice, crispy guy. I could crush 100 of these.
Absolutely. Without thinking about it. Just
Just toss them back, man.
Yeah.
Just toss them back. Give me a 24 of these. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, they come in a big old pack.
Yeah. Give me a 52 of these.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a 64 of these. Right?
Sure.
I want a barbecue. Give me a 78 of these.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Give me 120 of these.
Yeah.
120 cans, and just have them like I open up my pantry and they just fall out like a movie.
I want it like the Homer Simpson contraption when he's in hell. with the donuts. More donuts.
I want to be able. I want to have it like an arm like swinging out. Every time you pull one, you get another, and it just keep going.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're good.
I'm gonna give it. I mean, we'll go unanimous 4. Do we go again? Do we do it again? Do we need to?
Boom! 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 Boom!
I'm sorry that your brother died. It's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Got anything else?
That's all I got.
Well, if Obi says that we got it, then that means this episode is over. This has been the One Beer In podcast for myself, Marco Dupa, for Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
Boom!
Thank you guys for listening. Drink delicious beer and have yourself a beautiful evening.
We love you. Punch my mic.
Boom, boom.
Love